What's up YouTube? I'm RagingXY and today I'm going to be showing you guys 10 ways you can improve your steampunk builds in Minecraft or just start out building in steampunk. So let's go. Alright, number 1, you got cogs and gears. Uh, Cogwheels and gears are probably essential in most steampunk builds as you'll see them everywhere. They make things move, turn they can take rotational power from a certain direction and move it in another, and it just adds a bit of life and functionality into your builds. Alright, next one. Idea number 2, and this is pipes. Now with the new 1.17 update, we got these beautiful copper blocks, which when utilizing some of the 1.16 trapdoors and other various woods and similar colored blocks, you can make some really nice looking pipes that can either be fluid related or sometimes even steam related, as most would assume what some steampunk pipes would be used for. Idea number 3, now this is belts. Belts can either be conveyor belts as such shown down here, or they can be hanging above, and sometimes even connected to some cogwheels for either the exportation of rotational power or powering the belt itself. And setting them up in a system like so could make a cool looking factory build, or you can even use belts for rotational power transfer as themselves. One cogwheel on the end here and another over here to either save space or to just not have a ton of cogs and just to add some variation. Idea number 4. Now this might be obvious to some people, but you might not know what this is. This is a steam engine, or at least what I've tried to make look like a steam engine. Now steam engines work with a fire, usually powered by charcoal underneath a pool of water, creating steam, which then, when held up in a pressurized chamber, which we do not actually have here, it forces uh, a piston arm to extend out, and I guess we can use pistons in this case to then move this up and power a wheel like so. And with some small belts, these don't really look like they do much because it's just a chain, but you can power some larger cogwheels as well. I would probably recommend making an actual belt back here, as this doesn't logically make sense, but it's just a way to compact space and make a cool looking lively build. Idea number 5. Now this takes us into interior design. Now interior design I'm not really the best at, but I've done my best to give you guys some steampunk ideas, and I have 4 in this little section right here. Now the first one, a lot of steampunk builds will be moving, such as airships, blimps, or even moving cities on wheels. Now you can make a nice copper steering wheel here with the new lightning rods and copper blocks, or you can go more minimalist and just have a nice circle out of any wood types or stair variants. Now right here you got yourself a pocket watch, which is really just a clock in an item frame. I kind of just gave up on that idea. Put down an item frame and placed a clock in it. But over here is a nice little typewriter. Now this is just a black banner with a white brick pattern on it to make it look like some keys. And that banner is placed underneath the table right there. And the typewriter can then, I don't know how exactly typewriters work. I don't know the word for this, but it just shoots out paper like everything, like a printer. As you type out, you'll get bundles of paper. You gotta use your imagination there at the bottom. And that's just a cool little thing. You can maybe even change out the stair for some copper field to make it just a little bit more steampunky. Now the 4th one in this showcase is a drop-down telescope. Now these could be useful in many situations, preferably in airships or just in a small observatory. Now this is a pretty cool design. It's just a glass pane with some handles following some copper, as the spyglass recipe does include some copper in the game, out to another glass pane. Now that can give you a cool spyglass, but on a much larger scale than the one in my hand currently. On to the sixth idea. Now, this idea is the idea of metal plates. Metal plates are really essential in steampunk as it serves as a tarnished repair for some vehicles, and it just gives a little bit of life and a little more bit of attention to detail in a lot of the builds. Now you can use some of the smooth variants of blocks or the concrete and terracotta with some buttons on the end. The color can be your choosing, but preferably if you're going to go for like a steel looking plate here, you might want something to pop out a bit more and be darker than the current plate that you are using the buttons on. Number 7. Now this one takes a lot of imagining, but this is a window into a much smaller world. Now this is actually supposed to provide some depth as the tinted glass darkens the area around it and doesn't let any light through, providing an extra world beyond the glass border. Now you can use some of the candles as little lightning rods, I guess, on top of buildings with some of the walls and even the new tripstone block if you want to get creative. Now, when I built this, I probably should have put some string on top of that twisting vine just to match the color a bit. You got some houses, you got a little bit of a large apartment complex, and even an airship. I kind of like that design, it's pretty cool. Now for lighting, you can use some soul torches and crying obsidian to just match the night sky, which is preferred, and at least in my opinion, I like the night sky over a daylight setting as it gives it more of an atmosphere. Number 8. Now this isn't necessarily a build, but this is a building trick. Now, when building steampunk buildings, these are actually on a much smaller scale than usual. You don't want to go for the standard skyscraper field. You want to start small and you want to gradually make the building larger as it goes up. Because steampunk doesn't really obey too many laws of physics, and you can get really creative with this if you want. Some cool structure inspiration could come from the Twilight Forest mod, as they have some pretty cool gravity-defying structures in that mod pack. So look that up if you're interested at all. Idea number 9. As I said before, pipes can be used for steam, and in this scenario, we have some chimneys and smokestacks. For chimneys, you could probably settle for a campfire as it doesn't produce too much smoke and is quite moderate when compared to smokestacks used in factories or any steam-powered vehicle or structure. This is pretty cool, and I just like the concept. The cobwebs also provide a much larger scale than you would need if you just are going for a small little house. You only need a campfire, but on a larger scale you can use cobwebs if you do want to as well. And you could actually take that campfire and even put it in the cobwebs just for a little bit of an extra accent to that. Now you might have seen for idea number 6, we have wheels and tracks. A lot of buildings in steampunk could be moving, and if you do choose to do that, you could use the new deep slate blocks mixed with some older, lighter stone variants such as the andesite, and make some really nice looking wheels or tracks for the city to sit on. This is just a really wacky concept for me. I don't know if I would stick with this personally, but if you really want to make a moving city, then go ahead, use some tracks, use some wheels, make it feel alive. And I think that wraps it up for all of these ideas for how to build steampunk in your Minecraft world. Again, I'm RagingXY. It's been good, I guess, and I hope you've learned something from this. Goodbye.